And welcome to another edition of the Bullheaded Podcast. I'm your host, per usual, Sean Tyson, here with Zoo and Peebush. How you fellas doing?
I'm doing well, man. Bears secured the dub last Thursday, man. Just making the Panthers hold that number one position in the draft for next year, man. Absolutely necessary. Y'all know I'm always talking about the Bears draft picks next year. It seems to be an annual thing, Zoo, at this point, man. Where are the Bears in the draft and who can they take? And hey, I know we're going to talk about it a little later, man, but with Kyler Murray come back to the Cardinals, it's priming the Bears for a nice little number one position, man. So fantasy football, 2-1 on the week, man. Secured my non-last place in my dynasty league, man. Beat the worst team and 3-game lead now out of last place. So that's all that matters, man. All that matters. Can't have that punishment coming my way, man.
Fantasy football, man.
Yeah, he's on the opposite end.
This week, man, the league I care about the most. Blood, sweat, and tears in that team. Negotiating trades, turning down trade offers, trying to Daryl Morey it, man. Got some good assets, but Jesus Christ, this team just cannot get W's. Shout outs to Tony Pollard and Calvin Ridley for the two biggest busts of the year. Tony Pollard is an atrocious decision. Second round pick. I took this guy. I remember I was thinking too. I was like, I got Bijan first round. I don't regret Bijan. I do not regret Bijan because the talent and the coaching situation. Okay, that's just an external factor that I couldn't control. But I like the talent and I like his ability. I don't ever regret drafting Bijan. But Tony Pollard is just not that dude. Rico Dowdle, the backup, just came in. Got like 79 yards, a tutty, looking great. Well, I see Tony P getting stuff at the 1 yard line over and over and over, man. And
3 times.
Dak Prescott had to run it in once. Dak Prescott had to do a little fake
Jake Ferguson.
Jake Ferguson, his favorite play. They always do run.
It was Dalton Schultz last year.
It's the same. When I saw that play call, I'm like, it's so obvious. They love doing that play call. So Tony Pollard, an atrocious decision. I was always a hater on this dude, and I took this brother, man. And I forever regret it because I still remember that day. I was thinking, should I go double RBs? That's my philosophy. But then this guy's a bum, and I could have had A.J. Brown, who was my option. I was looking at the elite wide receiver. And I took Tony Pollard, who's an absolute disgrace, a league loser. That's what he's called.
He is a league loser.
Pretty much.
If you have Tony Pollard on your roster this year,
your
team does not have that many wins.
Dynasty last place, and the one I was just telling you, Zoo.
Yeah,
Tony Pollard, RB2.
Tony P is awful. He's a gadget guy. He's getting exposed. Ezekiel Elliott, he's having a little resurgence of the Patriots right now.
Nice little one, yeah.
Yeah, he's still built a little. That guy gets
story now.
Yeah, that guy gets tutties. Yeah, Tony P turns out to be just a cute story. They franchise tagged him. Yeah, they didn't want to pay him.
He's a number 2. Yeah.
He's a gadget guy, and when you're drafted,
they might need to switch, like Rico and Tony. Maybe Tony will flourish that way.
Maybe he'll flourish. The Giants defense.
Psychological.
Yeah, I know, man.
When your team drops 49 points and 7 offensive touchdowns, 7, and you have 0 touchdowns. I don't even know how that's possible.
As an RB1.
Yeah. As an RB1 who got red zone looks. So that guy is a bona fide bust. One of the worst draft picks in the history of my profession of fantasy football. And I'll never forget this guy. Calvin really throwing out. Okay, that happens. Okay. Yeah. But Tony pissing his pants back because that's what happened when I was watching. I was raging like no other game I've seen in my entire life.
Yeah, I stopped watching the game.
God.
After when you said that, whatever, Tony P shaking my head, I thought he got injured, so I went to the game.
Yeah.
And I saw the replay where
it was the goal line,
and I was just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like I was like, I'm glad I'm not watching this game anymore because it's just going, like you said, that's why I turn off my fantasy like updates. I just mute them for the rest of the day because it's like I don't want to swipe because I would still get irritated when I would see other players on my team are scoring, but then you're scrolling through the little like updates and the little things that come up on the screen of your iPhone or Android, and you see like everyone else is scoring, and then you see the Dallas score where they're like 40-something points, and you're like, there is no possible way that Tony P doesn't have a touchdown or even like something to where it's like, oh, he's having a crazy day. He just hasn't scored. Like, because even in the first 3 games, when he had the 2 touchdown scenario with the Giants, he still, those games after, was getting to 17, 18 because he was getting catches and getting up and down the field. But I'm actually happy that Dowdle's doing pretty good because he's a former South Carolina running back who went undrafted because he had like a injury history. But I don't know. I think Dallas, now they may be kind of gun shy because they let Ezekiel walk and then Tony P came in, and then I'm not saying they're gonna let Tony P walk, but then if they switch and have Rico as back number 1, maybe it's just a curse that if you're the number 1 back, unless you're Ezekiel Elliott, you're just not going to be productive with Dallas. I still think it's something to do with Kellen Moore because it's insane how Tony P just falling off a cliff. Like, I know he can't get into the goal line, but I don't feel like last year he was making a bunch of goal line touchdowns. He was scoring from like different areas of the field. Maybe
he was running it in like 50-yard tutties, like explosive plays. But
yeah, and maybe that has something to do with the play.
He was explosive.
He was, but maybe he's explosive as a number 2. But yeah, Tony Pollard is a league loser, man. He if you got him, you're more than likely under 500. So it's been tough sledding for him. But speaking of quarterbacks that been going through some hardships, tough times, whatever you want to call it, we're coming fresh off the Monday night game, seeing Josh Allen have pretty much a dud. Trevor Lawrence, who in terms of fantasy has not been a great guy to hit your horse to, wagon to, whatever. And it got me thinking, with these 2 quarterbacks, both in the AFC, the Jaguars actually are relatively pretty good. They got destroyed this weekend, but I think they're 3rd or 4th in the playoff race right now in the AFC. And then you're looking at the Bills, who are currently out. And I was just thinking to myself, man, I wonder, this is more of a for the rest of this year, and if you want to expand it out to next year and beyond, who are you more worried about? Are you more worried about Trevor Lawrence, or are you more worried about Josh Allen? And P. Bush, I'm going to let you have a first stab at this.
Man, this one's tough. I mean, look, Josh Allen, 2 more extra years of experience in the league, man. If not 3, I could be wrong there. But, you're looking at his numbers this year. I mean, he's got 11 picks through, 10 games at this point, 9 if they've had a bye.
10 or 9,
I mean, he's averaging over a pick a game. Had a couple fumbles as well. Obviously, sometimes can't really do too much there if your offensive line's giving up a lot of pressure. But 19 to 11 touchdown to interception ratio, man. He has not had this bad of an interception ratio since his rookie year in 2018, man, which a lot of people, similar to Jalen Hurts, doubted his abilities a lot because he was kind of a gunslinger, bigger guy, known for rushing the ball a bit more. And you're kind of wondering, where's this guy's career trajectory going? Well, he obviously took some major steps the last 3-4 years. And he comes back this year, man. I mean, you watched the game last night, Monday Night Football against the Broncos. He was the difference maker. I mean, he threw 2 picks. One of them, Gabe Davis, sure, understandably, was within the vicinity and it got picked off. But that's the difference maker in the game, is his turnovers, right? No matter what decisions you're making, you got to put your team in the right position. That's the one thing about Josh Allen. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this. He doesn't throw the ball away. Like, ever.
Always trying to make a play, yeah.
He's always trying to make a play, whether it be running the ball, which obviously we know what he can do, and 9 times out of 10, he's making the correct decision with his legs. But when he decides to kind of pull back and say, I'm going to just sling it and try and fit it in a tight window, that's when the mistakes happen, man. And you're playing against a secondary in the Broncos that is no joke. Pat Surtain is a monster young corner, and to be honest, he dominated Stephon Diggs yesterday. I mean, he absolutely won that matchup against a guy that I would say 95% of the time is going to beat no matter who's in front of him. I'd say maybe the couple guys that are across from him, maybe Sauce Gardner, Pat Surtain, in years past, Stephon Gilmore of the Patriots, who won a Defensive Player of the Year a couple of years ago, obviously got the best of him a couple times in the division matchups. And then you look over at Trevor Lawrence, man. I mean, 9-6 through 9-10 games, man. Sue, I don't know about you, man, but I thought this was the year he was going to take a step. I know that's why you bought into Calvin Ridley. I also was very high on Calvin Ridley. Just didn't happen to fall to me in any specific fantasy drafts. He's not gotten it going with him. Christian Kirk has had a very nice season. Evan Ingram has had a couple nice games. But, man, it is the ATN show, and I think you can put a little bit of that on Trevor Lawrence, that, look, their running game is working. They kind of remind me a little bit of what the Bears had been in the past, that they just rely on the rush game, and their defense has kept them in a lot of games. Obviously, I'm not talking about week 10 against the 49ers in that sense. They just got absolutely manhandled, as Sean mentioned. But, man, I'm leaning a little bit more towards concern about Trevor Lawrence. I mean, Josh Allen has at least proved it in years past and has been in big games. He's mashed Patrick Mahomes. I mean, outside of Mahomes' godly 13-second drive to tie the game last year, he was going out in the playoffs, man. And so he's been there. He's done that. Trevor Lawrence, he had a nice, cute win over the Chargers last year in the playoffs, man.
Yep.
Congratulations. You had a 500 team. You guys rebounded last year. Very much reminded me of them, and the Lions were kind of on the same trajectory, and a lot of people assumed that they would be continuing on the same trajectory this year. We've seen the Lions take that step. We haven't seen the Jaguars, even though they are the top of the AFC South. So, look, man, I just think that the Trevor Lawrence, it seems like he's a bit hesitant in his game. And when you have hesitancy as a quarterback in the NFL, man, defenses are going to eat you alive. And that's not just on an interception basis, on a fumble basis, but just making you question your own decisions and forcing you to make throws that you probably shouldn't be making, whether or not they're picked off or not. So I just think Trevor Lawrence has had to deal with a little bit more this year, even though Josh Allen is already approaching his career worst in interceptions, which is 15 in a season, man, which I think was 2 years ago. He's going to probably demolish that this year. He's probably throwing 17, 18 interceptions. So a little concern for the Bills this year, especially with the way the Dolphins are playing. But at the same time, we've talked about this. The Dolphins have gotten manhandled by good teams this year. So the division is still open, whereas I'm a little scared if I'm the Jaguars of the Houston Texans, man. I'm just a little scared, man. Just a little scared. So I'm leaning towards T-Law with on my end a bit more hesitancy as a fantasy owner as well as a potential NFL owner were I to be in that situation.
Yeah, man. I gotta definitely agree with you because T-Law, I thought the sky high expectations. I thought I was going to make that leap. Because under the new coach, he made a I would say a solid leap, going from 12 touchdowns to 17 interceptions, which is just absolute garbage.
That's
just
horrible.
Absolute garbage. But that's happened to rookie quarterbacks. Like most rookie quarterbacks in their first year struggle, and that's part of the learning process. But then he jumped from 12 touchdowns to 17 interceptions to 25 touchdowns and 8 interceptions under Peterson. So you see that, okay, this guy's at least a quality starting quarterback. And then you think he get himself a Calvin Ridley. You think of better chemistry with his players, and that he's going to make that leap. He has 6 interceptions already.
Yeah.
He has 6 interceptions already and only 9 passing touchdowns. Like his ability to make big plays, like I've not seen it. Like he's closer to a game manager than a game creator. Like he's a game manager right now. Like he doesn't have games where he goes explosive and airs it out 300 plus yards. Like I have not seen those types of elite performances from him this year, which I was expecting him to make that leap. But Trevor Lawrence has not made that leap. Well, Josh Allen, I think it's a coaching thing. They just fired the offensive coordinator. Losing Brian Dable was a huge loss for Josh Allen. Like they meshed perfectly. Like Josh Allen, Brian Dable, they had a really good experience together, and I feel like both guys probably look at each other like, man, I got Denny Dimes and Danny DeVito over here. Like Jesus Christ, like he's had a bad. That is a terrible
money, man.
That is a terrible QB situation. And they were just perfect together. And as you said, like they went head to head with Mahomes, was 13 seconds away from advancing to the conference finals, pretty much. And like right now, like the Buffalo Bills came in with sky high expectations of being a Super Bowl or bust team. Like I feel like most people, Vegas definitely had them as a top 5 team right now. And you
top
look at
3,
and you look at their record, like they're a 500 ball club. Like they're a 500 ball club. Like the Denver Broncos are half a game behind them.
The Raiders are 500.
Yeah, the Raiders, who had to fire their coach and
literally everything.
Legit everyone. They had a party when those guys got fired. They have the same record. They have the same record after all the highs and lows of the Raiders. They have the same record as the Raiders. And right now, good thing like this division right now. like Miami Dolphins 6-3. I'm like, they had some bad losses. So the division, they could be getting away from them. So right now, they still got an opportunity to be a wild card team right now. But they went from being a lock to being a maybe now, which is something I never thought would happen. Because like you see Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, like that's just an elite offense right there. And Dalton Kincaid, he's really showed as a rookie tight end that he is a legitimate target as another weapon for Josh Allen. So offensively, you wouldn't like imagine this team struggling, because defensively, I think they've been fine.
Yeah,
they've been a really good defense. But like the offense is not as explosive as the last like couple years, and it's pretty much the same weapons. Like, yeah, I just
Dave
feel like
Davis has had a better year over year.
Yeah, compared to last year. Yeah, compared to last year. So I'm quite surprised about the Bills, but I feel like the Bills, I've seen, like you said, the Bills have a track record.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like there's something mental with Josh Allen. Overthinking the football game, not playing freely, trying to force things. Like I always talk about, Josh Allen doesn't play smart football. Maybe that's gotten to his head. So he's like trying to overthink things. So he's not playing football naturally. It's like sometimes you just got to play on instincts and play your game. But right now he is struggling. Like the Gabe Davis interception. Okay, that's on Gabe Davis. You got to catch that. But the other interceptions, like, man, that was just a bad decision. So it's quite surprising. I am quite shocked of how bad of a turnover season he's having.
So are you more?
I'm about to say, sound like you're. Which one are you?
Man, because I know Josh Allen got the talent and the upside that I've seen. So I'm gonna still stick with Josh because I've seen it and I've seen him perform in playoff games too.
Right.
Like Trevor Lawrence, I have, like you said, one Cinderella story comeback against the Chargers. Like, and he played one of the worst half of football, like that's humanly possible for a quarterback. Like, I legitimately don't think he could play any worse as a quarterback in that half. So he had one atrocious half and they had a good half. So who knows where he is right now.
Right.
So I got to see him back in the playoffs. Yeah, I got to see him back in the playoffs because they got a solid defense. They got solid weapons around him. So this definitely should be a playoff team. And their plus minus is a +6. So they're pretty, like, that's like a 500 type team.
A little like one game over.
Exactly. And you got the Buffalo Bills with a +78. So when they win, they blow people out. So right now, like, based on record, like, they're 6-3 and the Bills are 5-5. But based on overall team, like, I still think the Bills are a better team than the Jacksonville Jaguars.
For sure.
So
for sure,
I'm still going with Josh and making the playoffs and having that upside. That I have more faith in Josh, even though it's been rough. Losing to the Broncos, like the Broncos beating Mahomes and Josh Allen back-to-back.
Yeah,
that's what I'm telling you. NFL, man. I'm telling you, NFL, man. Like, you could lose to anyone because the Denver Broncos went from getting dropped 70 points on to having a defense that has forced multiple turnovers. On Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. It's incredible.
You could argue this too. I mean, Texans, they lost to the worst team in the league in the Panthers. They come back and beat the Bengals.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the NFL, it's just like that. But I will say, if I'm looking at this though, the Dolphins are a great team. They're great. Their defense does not scare me at all.
Nope.
I'm more nervous if I'm the Dolphins with the the Bills right behind me. Than I am. I'm more nervous. Like the Bills should be more confident overcoming the Dolphins than the nerves that the Jaguars should have about CJ Stroud and the Texans behind them. Because that's something we haven't been talking about. Sure, their running game hasn't been great. Devin Singletary comes out, drops 150 and a touchdown.
What the hell was that?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. Against a solid defense in the Bengals, man. They shut down the Bills. I mean, James Cook did not have a good game against them. Latavius Murray obviously did not do anything 2 weeks ago. You're looking at their passing game. We know what they can do there. That was without Nico Collins. And their defense is what people are talking about. They're not talking about their defense. The Texans' pass defense. What's his name, Sean? Stingley?
Stingley, from LSU.
Yeah, they drafted him over Sauce.
Mm-hmm.
He's been heavily effective. Jamar Chase had that one big play. Other than that, wasn't doing too much, man. Wasn't doing too much in that game.
Yeah, Stingley was one of the. I think coming out of high school, he was one of the highest rated corners ever.
Ever.
So he had the pedigree. Sauce was a late bloomer, but Stingley definitely had the pedigree. I think that's why he got drafted first.
I'm just saying the Jaguars have a little bit more to be concerned about than I think the Bills are, and that's the fact that they are both flipped in the 1-2 situations in their division, and I think that says a lot.
This is only because of age. I think I'm more alarmed with Allen because of Trevor. Like his first year, he had, I don't even know who was it, Doug Marrone. I don't even know who the coach was his first year.
Trevor Lawrence.
And then he got, I can't remember who the first guy.
Yeah, I think it was Doug.
And then who's he got now? I forgot. He's the Eagles.
He had Urban Meyer, and then he has.
There's Urban Meyer. Yeah.
He had Urban Meyer, and then now he's got what's his name from the Eagles, Peterson.
Yeah,
Doug Peterson.
Peterson. So I know he had to transition in that last year, and that helped him out a lot. I kind of do feel like there might be more of a off-season drill work, rep work that goes into maybe Calvin Ridley being a better fit for him. I know they had off-season before that, but we also got to remember Calvin Ridley didn't play the year before, so maybe that's the reason why it's like a little bit more of an up and down. And two, I mean, Calvin Ridley, he's a nice receiver. He was a good receiver in Atlanta, but I don't think anybody ever confused him with being like a upper echelon receiver. I just think we thought the marriage of him and Lawrence were going to be able to. Well, I think fantasy-wise, people thought he was going to be massive in terms of like his, like a ranking in terms of an all-time receiver in the league right now. I don't think people thought he was going to get there. So I think they have to still work the kinks out on that. And having ETN, I think, can kind of aid to that because he's just such a monster. And he's kind of almost like a bailout for Trevor that maybe if you're just throwing the ball at him a bunch. Like I remember in that England game, he was able to like just dump it off to him and, get confidence. And Calvin really actually had a good game that game when they were playing in England, I think against the Bills. But that's why I kind of still feel like, and they're 6-3, so I feel like they got a little bit of faith, even though I agree with your point about CJ Stroud. Like they don't have much room to be like, okay, let's just still figure some stuff out because you could mess around and be in second place in that division, and you'd be like, oh crap, like we gotta see if we can catch up to the Texans. But I think with Allen, the day ball point is one I've always talked about. Like that I think was a crucial part of Allen and his maturity in terms of being a quarterback and limiting his mistakes. But if we're gonna keep it a buck, I really think he only got his adulations because of Stephon Diggs. If he doesn't have Diggs, I don't think he's a good quarterback at all. I think Diggs really changed the trajectory of his career. Because if you even look at like his stats, he only like I was seeing a stat, and his brother was kind of tweeting about it. Like when Diggs got there, he's had 3 30-plus touchdown seasons. Now I look at that as like not all 30 touchdowns went to Stephon Diggs, but like a majority of them did go there. And then having Stephon on the field has helped guys like Gabe Davis and they should say Khalil Shakur this year. Yeah, Dawson Knox. Like other guys has helped them, get open and score touchdowns. I don't think it's crazy to say he's just a product of Stephon. I feel like he's a product of him. And I also think that
a little bit.
I think he kind of, because here's another thing. I was looking at these stats because I hear all the time about and I think I don't know who said, I don't know if it was Zoo or P-Bush that talked about his duel with Mahomes. That has helped his rep in the league, and I think the greater people talk about him, and they want to link him with Mahomes. Not saying he's Mahomes because nobody is Mahomes. Trust and believe. There's Mahomes, and then there's people battling to try to be Mahomes. But I think there was a lot of people that was wanting to push him up. He got a Madden cover, wanted to push him up into that echelon because how he battled with him. How he battled with him. But look at these stats. Both of these guys came out in the same year. I looked at these stats, and it kind of shocked me. And it's with Lamar. So if you look at Josh Allen's stats to today, he's 57-29 as a record, 63% completion, 157 touchdowns, 71 interceptions.
About 2
You can say with those touchdowns, since, if you take away Stephon, we don't know what those numbers will be, but he has Stephon. If you look at Lamar, he's 52-19 record, 64 completion, 111 touchdowns, 43 interceptions. Look, so Lamar is a better passer, which people would not say that. They would think, Lamar's not the passer that Josh Allen is. Efficiency-wise, he is. Completion percentage, he's better. He has a better record. And if we really want to talk about weapons, it ain't even close.
Yeah, Lamar's doing
Like
it.
we want like with Lamar this year. I know we want to keep saying like Mark Andrews is such a great tight end, but let me ask you this question again. How big is the gap between Jamar Chase and Stephon Diggs? How big of the gap do you think it is? Is it a massive gap or do you think it's a small gap in terms of just individual players?
Yeah, then I would put them in the same tier.
Same tier.
Same tier. Elite wide receiver.
Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce, are they in the same tier?
No.
There's not even close.
1A and 1C.
1C. I will give you
one guy. Yeah, one guy.
C plus. I'll give him a C plus.
We'll give him a C plus.
Yeah, but Laporta and Kincaid might be on his heels. They're coming, especially Laporta. Like Laporta next year, Laporta might be in that C with Mark Andrews. And this is to my point about it being a Stephon Diggs like phenomenon. Lamar has never had the weapons that Josh Allen has had. He's never had the weapons that Joe Burrow has had. But he has a better record, and he's had less interceptions. So if you even look at Josh Allen and his trajectory before he had Stephon Diggs, like we were saying, it wasn't great. It wasn't great. The only reason why he gets talked about as being this upper echelon quarterback is because of that duel with Mahomes. If he doesn't have that, he's an average quarterback.
No. And if Stephon he's an average quarterback.
He's not average.
Dude, he cannot say he's an average quarterback if he didn't have a duel with
because of the running game.
Wait. If Stephon's not there, he's an average quarterback, guys. He's an average quarterback without Stephon Diggs. He's average. Go look at the stats.
Everybody needs an elite weapon. Everyone has
weapons. But no, they don't. Lamar don't.
Yeah, and you know his passing numbers? Mediocre. He has mediocre
passing numbers. But I gave you overall all the stats, his whole career. They both got drafted in 2018. They both got drafted, and they both and Lamar has never had a guy like Stephon Diggs. You can't give me Odell and Zay Flowers is a rookie. You can't do it.
Okay, first of all, Zay Flowers.
Like if Lamar has Stephon, Lamar would be in the Super Bowl.
Zay Flowers is a stud. He's a
rookie. He's a rookie.
You were the one to say
Jamar Chase was a rookie. He was a stud. Justin Jefferson was a rookie. He was a stud. You could be a stud.
Justin Jefferson is a Pantheon great. He might be a Hall of Famer. Come on now, that's not the same. He might be a Hall of Famer.
No, Zay Flowers.
He might be a Hall of Famer. Like Zay Flowers is not going to be a Hall of Famer, and I love Zay Flowers. He won't be a Hall of Famer. And he's 5'9". He's 5'9".
So what? Antonio Brown was small. Just because he's small doesn't mean he can be a dominant receiver.
Or like the top in their league. Tyreek Hill, that's it. He's maybe 5'11". He's 5'11". He's built like a running back.
Okay, outside of Zay Flowers is a stud. So this is his best casted receiver. Do you agree this year?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for him. But it ain't Stephon. It ain't Justin Jefferson. It ain't Jamar Chase. It ain't T. Higgins. That level. It ain't A.J. Brown. It's not Devontae Smith. So what are we talking about? It's not those level receivers.
Exactly. And you know what?
Any of those guys.
So like, what are we talking?
If you look at his numbers,
I mean,
let me talk. If you look at his passing numbers, right? I'm only looking at passing, rushing. They're both elite rushers.
You talking about yards?
Yeah, passing yards.
And that's
passing yards. How does that matter? Are we talking touchdowns, completion percentage, or wins?
Yards, 2,200 yards.
Sam Howell has the most yards in the league, and his team sucks.
2,200 yards last year. You're in 2,800, 27. So his highest passing yards is 3,100. So he's more of a low volume thrower, right? Because his
Greg Roman was his offensive coordinator.
His rushing. And if you look at his passing touchdowns outside of his elite MVP year, he's thrown over 25 touchdowns once outside that incredible.
What about his turnovers?
He struggles with fumbling this year.
How do you turn the ball over? How do you turn the ball over when you have Stephon Diggs as your receiver? I don't understand.
His fumbling issue is huge, Sean.
Yeah,
I don't understand. How do you turn the ball over more if you have Stephon Diggs as your number one receiver? How do you do that?
Poor decision making.
Oh, so that means if you're a poor decision making quarterback.
Let's talk about turnovers.
This is a bad comparison.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure this out. All right, go ahead.
Let's talk about turnovers, right? Josh Allen, his career, he has 33 fumbles, and let's go 33 fumbles, and then you got Lamar Jackson. He has 36 fumbles. So both of them have a turnover.
How many INTs does Lamar have?
What?
How many INTs does he have?
43.
How many does Josh Allen have?
Josh Allen has 71. He's a higher volume passer.
He throws more.
You got to look at the touchdown to interception ratio.
But he's throwing more passes because he has a alpha number one in Stephon. So I'm saying, how do you keep turning the ball over more when you have a better receiver and a better cast of receivers? I don't get it.
Sean, I'm going to go back to my argument that I've had for years.
I don't get it. Yeah.
Do the Bills run the ball?
Let me ask you a question. Who is Lamar's running back?
No. Dude, he's had who? Gus Edwards.
We were just making fun of him before the podcast. Keith Mitchell, we'll see.
J.K. Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins has torn his leg every year. What are we talking about? Like, listen, I agree. Now, the other guys like Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, they've had better running backs. Like Joe Mixon, the DeAndre Swift, like those guys, they've had
Miles
better
Sanders,
running backs. I will agree with that. They've had more. Like even Trevor Lawrence has an elite running back. So if you want to make the argument about an elite running back, yes. But even with Trevor Lawrence, like I don't think Calvin Ridley is near Stephon, and I think Christian Kirk fantasy wise is more elite than Calvin Ridley. But my whole point about Josh Allen and what I've been beating the drum on is I don't care what nobody is talking about. I think he is average if Stephon is not there. He's not good.
He is not average.
He wasn't good before.
Based on his physicality,
I don't know what he's going to do when he leaves. It goes to Dallas.
And his arm strength makes him not average.
He's not average.
There's
I'm not talking about skill set. I'm not saying skill set. That's not what I said. I didn't say skill set. I said average as a player. You can have elite skill set and be average as a player.
I'm talking about skill set. I'm talking about everything. He cannot say he's the 16th quarterback in the NFL.
I didn't say he was 16. Now you put numbers on what I said. I didn't say that.
That is the definition.
I don't think he's a 16th rate quarterback, but like, who would you rather have, CJ Stroud or Josh Allen?
CJ Stroud.
Definition of average. 16.
Answer that question. Who would you rather have, CJ Stroud or Josh Allen? Yes.
CJ Stroud.
And going forward.
I'm taking Josh Allen. I'm saying.
So where do you rank CJ Stroud in the?
He's playing like an elite quarterback right now. He's top 10 right now.
Top 10. So he solidified top 10.
So my point is, you take Stephon out of the Bills, he's 11 to 12 range.
I think if you switch, I'll put it this way: if you took Stephon out of Buffalo, put him where Lamar is, and put Zay Flowers where Buffalo is, Buffalo ain't doing nothing. They're not making the playoffs, and Josh Allen ain't having the same stats. And guess what? And that's what I'm saying. Do you think Lamar could make Zay Flowers as good? Do you think Josh Allen could make Zay Flowers as good as he is with Lamar? I don't think so.
Lamar does not have the arm strength.
Listen, you don't know who I already like with Deshaun and Lamar. Like
I know that's why I brought it up.
I like Deshaun, but I'm just saying, like, I just think, and I've seen the conversation about Josh Allen and where he's ranked. I think a lot of that has to do is because he had that one game with Mahomes. That's it.
He's overrated. I'll give you that. But he's not to the point.
Okay. To make you guys happy, I say he's a little bit above average. But what's the difference between being a little bit above average and being average? It ain't a massive gap.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, it is.
Huge.
Between an average quarterback between above average, that's the difference.
He's not above average. No, I said a
Super Bowl and not above average.
I got one right here. Kirk Cousins to Trevor Lawrence.
Wait a minute. This is actually a good point. I actually might take Kirk Cousins consistently more than Josh Allen. I might take that more. I might take it more.
He's a better decision maker.
I might take it more. Like Josh Allen's skill set.
You're thinking like fantasy.
No. I'm thinking reality. If I had a franchise and I had a quarterback, would I rather have Josh Allen or Kirk Cousins?
All right,
is that what you're saying?
Not like right, but I'm just saying like they're the way that they play the game. Who would you rather have?
Thank you. That's literally my point.
Because the wild card, dude, him in the red zone, like that is such a huge wild card that I would have on offensive end. He's physically a different player than Kirk Cousins. I want that physicality.
Like skill set. You're right.
I'm shocked to say that because you're an Anthony Richardson guy. It's a very similar argument. Like
it's hard
to Josh Allen is very similar players.
That is very
their
true.
Physicality.
First off, we don't even know what Anthony Richardson is going to be because he hasn't played enough. They got the same skill set, but we don't know what Anthony Richardson. He might be a better decision maker than Josh Allen. We don't know because he hasn't played, but they do have the same skill set. I will agree with that. They have the same skill set. They run and they got strong arms.
I think
but we can't make a
the point
jurisdiction about that.
Is that the Josh Allen types? I don't want to put Jalen Hurts in there because he has had an unbelievable year, but he's also had some very bad decision making this year, more so than maybe we saw last year.
Yeah, he had a lot of interceptions this year relative to last
year.
year.
That type of play style is extremely volatile. And that's what you're willing to live with versus more consistent play. And I think that's what it's your risk averseness. That's really what it comes down to as a GM. Are you willing to have the big games with Josh Allen where he has a great game?
High risk, high reward. Yeah.
He even still had a solid fantasy outing last night. And he threw 2 picks that lost his team the game, which is why you have to separate both the reality versus the fantasy, right? That's why I did bring up the point with Zoo. I think Josh Allen would be a great quarterback without Stephon Diggs. Because you got to think about this, Sean.
But I'm telling you,
But
you
Sean,
can say that about
wait,
every
let me
quarterback.
finish
Yeah,
this.
every
Let
quarterback.
people get it off. I got you.
Let me finish this real quick.
Yeah.
If they lost Stephon Diggs, they're still bringing in a guy that would be not to that caliber, but he would still do enough.
Replacement level. Yeah.
He would be replacement level cost, right? And that's the biggest thing. He
A
would still
Drake
be
London,
okay.
I guess, maybe.
It's not like
I don't know.
not like they would lose him, Sean, and just be like, okay, Gabe, you're number one. We're not adding anybody else. No, they would go out and get someone else, right? And that's the whole point.
I understand they would get another player that's
Exactly.
like
So
close to Stephon Diggs.
And
He'd be from 9 to 12 range. He'd be a 9 to 12 range in fantasy.
But
maybe
I'm just
topping 7 as a reality quarterback.
I'm just looking at all the quarterbacks who have an elite receiver like that, and they're not as bad as Josh Allen.
Okay,
they're not.
This is also his worst
they're
year
not
in a long time.
Receivers like Stephon Light receivers that have seriously. Let's go through it. Jalen don't play as bad as Josh Allen. Patrick Mahomes doesn't even have the way he has. Travis Kelce. He's different. He's an alien. He's an alien. He's an alien though. But it doesn't. Okay, but we can say Travis Kelce. Justin Herbert. I'd probably rather bagged on him. I'd probably rather have him than Josh Allen.
Justin Herbert needs to win a playoff game before we have this conversation.
That's true.
One playoff game is
we need to win some games in the playoffs.
He should have won that game if his defense didn't choke away the freaking game.
Yeah,
he also choked on offense.
Justin Herbert did his job. We can't blame that on Justin Herbert. And I'm not a big Justin Herbert guy. You know I'm not the greatest Justin Herbert guy, but I would rather have him than Josh Allen.
In the league.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's the worst rated in the league.
And listen, he had, like you said, he has Keon Allen that has you see what he does. I mean, I know it's not fantasy, but he's an elite guy. And Mike Williams was until he got hurt.
Yep.
Like, I mean, I'm looking at all the elite receivers in the league. It's like the quarterbacks that are throwing them the ball, most of them for the most part are pretty good. Josh Allen is the only one that has any super elite receiver. And not to mention, he has a guy, Dalton Kincaid, who is rising in the ranks in terms of being an elite pass catcher. So you mean to tell me a guy who has, I wouldn't say he's any like super, and Gabe Davis. And to your point, like, okay,
best running
James
game
Cook, he's not good.
He's not good. He's not it.
No, he's not it. He sold 100 yards last night. 100 yards.
Well, I think that probably had more to do with the defense because Denver's defense is so bad. But I get what you point. James Cook is good. He's decent. I don't think he's great. He's not his brother.
Small little running back. He's the small.
But you know what that's saying? It's the best
Better
running
than
back they've had in his career.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
But also, and I hate to go back to Mahomes, but who's Mahomes running back? Who's Lamar's running back? I mean, after this, before this year, who's Jalen's running back?
Let's not compare anyone to Mahomes because this guy is a generational player that hasn't been touching the history of football outside of like Tom Brady.
Who was Hurts running back last year? Miles Sanders. We're saying he's a system back. He's a system running back. What is he doing in Carolina? He's a system back.
Yeah, but that offensive line, man, everybody looks good behind that offensive line.
I won't say that is Jalen's line. I can't argue the offensive line.
These two elite wide receivers and an offensive line that is immaculate. Like it is.
I mean, Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow's been the most impressive with the least amount. T. Higgins was not.
You gotta love T. Higgins. I'm not a big T. Higgins, but him as a two.
But this year, T. Higgins has sucked. But last year, we were talking about T. Higgins being a receiver one. Joe Burrow has actually, you could almost say, probably has the most.
I'm not talking about that. Mixon is getting older. T. Higgins was not drafted as that level. Jamar Chase, everybody knew about Jamar Chase. He's never had a tight end. Joe Mixon, like I said, is on the downside of his career. He is one of the worst.
Still better than whatever Josh Allen had in his entire career.
Of course.
Joe Mixon has been a very good running back for a lot of years.
You're right. Absolutely. But at the same time, he's coming off a major injury to begin his career, and he's come back from that and been at an elite level multiple times. He's actually been the one, unlike Josh Allen, to beat Mahomes multiple times.
Yeah.
I don't know what. I'd take Joe Burrow over Josh Allen.
Obviously, but Joe Burrow is elite. You're only talking about elite guys.
But my point is,
you're putting Josh Allen like 9, 10, or 11. I'm like, nah, he's in that upper echelon.
You flip the script, Zoo. I still take Joe Burrow over Josh Allen, even if you switch them on their own.
Joe Burrow would have Stephon Diggs like in freaking Pantheon. Like he would have Stephon
Tyreek
Diggs.
Hill, Cooper Kupp.
Oh my God. Yeah. Josh Allen. I'm telling you, like. It's a combination of Dayball not being there, and like you guys can go. The stats are there. Go look up. Like he's had 3 seasons with Stephon Diggs of 30+ touchdowns. Before that, he was only getting 20 touchdowns, and before that, maybe had like 12 his first year.
Okay,
his numbers are not everyone good knows. Like
rookie year, I don't.
The rookie years, I give rookie year quarterbacks a wash. That first year. Let's start with the second.
Go to the next year.
Yeah, 20 touchdowns as a second-year player. That's really good. Only 9 interceptions, over 2-to-1 TD interception ratio. has over 3,000 passing yards.
It's like Trubisky.
It's very solid.
What was his completion percentage that year?
59%.
Interesting.
That's a second-year
under
player.
Under par.
Yeah, he was like up.
He didn't have Stephon, so of course your completion is not going to be good. Yeah, and then look at the numbers when he got Stephon. It just shot up. It's insane numbers.
If you play with a great pass catcher, of
And
course your
that's
numbers go up.
Okay, so you just made my point.
You can say the same thing about Jalen Hurts. You can say the same thing about Joe Burrow.
But Jalen got to the Super Bowl with his. Josh Allen hasn't done that. Sorry.
And running game.
Whatever. We can make excuses, but Josh, I can just go down the facts. Josh Allen has talent to get to a Super Bowl, and he hasn't got there. Jalen Hurts has got there. Patrick Mahomes has got there. Joe Burrow got there.
Yeah.
With elite weapons. Josh Allen hasn't. So I don't want to hear it. I just don't want to hear it.
That's fair.
Because I feel like we make a lot of excuses, and he's the mad cover guy this year. So everybody's in his.
Sean, you know what they are? They're the Clippers of the NFL, man. They're the Clippers of the NFL.
That might be perfect. That might be perfect. Oh, wait. Even though I will say this.
Or maybe the Celtics.
I don't know how you can equate. So I guess Josh Allen gets to the NFC Championship game or AFC Championship game versus the Clippers. I don't think I guess the Clippers did get to Western Conference Finals, but without Kawhi, they did, I think, when they played
No.
I don't think they have.
Wait, who they played where they lost they went 7 games. Who was that team they went 7 games with?
Phoenix.
Yeah. Yep.
Was that Western Conference Finals or was that the? That might have been the Western Conference Finals because that was the Chris Paul, Devin Booker year where they lost to Giannis. I think that was that year.
You might be right.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Yeah, but I'm about to say I'm trying to equate which one's like a stronger feat because I would almost say Josh Allen dueling Mahomes in the AFC Championship game is a bigger feat than the Clippers 7 games in that.
Whatever, we're stretching right now for the discussion, boys. We're stretching right now.
I know. Yeah, it's just like I said, I was looking up because I didn't know him and Lamar Jackson the same year.
To be honest, I am a little concerned with how he's been playing. More so on the decision making. He's making some Russell Westbrook type decisions right now, Zoo.
Shout out to Russell Westbrook. It was his birthday not too long ago.
Interceptions, though. 11 interceptions, 19 touchdowns. It's not horrific.
It's not horrific, but for his standards.
His standards is different.
It's not horrific.
Now, would you consider, Zoo? Mahomes this year, under par.
Mahomes?
Yeah. And you know that's a fact. He's not playing up to his normal level.
He's not playing up to his standards either.
And I would actually give him shit for that. Because he's worthy.
I would agree. He's not playing to Mahomes' standard, but his standard is so insane.
Exactly. But you could argue that Josh Allen has as well.
Yeah. Josh Allen's last 3 years has been a great 3-year run.
Unbelievable. Lamar Jackson underperforming this year.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You can testify to that, man.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like Lamar hasn't performed for a lot of years. Like he's been injured, so obviously he can't control injuries, but it's been a while since we've seen him play at an elite level for sustainable amount of time.
Yeah. This year will definitely in terms of playoffs this year, like I'm not so sure, and we could end it on this one because we have been going long on this one, but which I figured we would. That's why I wanted to go first. But I kind of am nervous. Like if I'm a Bills fan, because looking at where they are right now, if the AFC North doesn't start shaking out, they're not getting in because then it's going to come down to the Bengals and them. And I trust Joe Burrow to get into, somehow, because they're not in either, but like somehow to sneak in. Like I just don't have faith in the
Steelers,
Bills.
Man.
Like I don't think the thing is, I'm gonna go ahead and break it news now. I don't think the Steelers are gonna have a collapse. They're just figuring crap out every week.
There, man.
It's annoying as hell because it's like, how the hell are they doing it? But they're just figuring it out, and they're gonna get in. They're just gonna get in. But I don't know. I won't say it's luck because they are playing.
Man, their defense is elite.
Their running game's actually been doing well lately.
Oh, yeah.
Jalen Warren, 100 yards.
Najee and Jalen Warren
came off waivers.
Very productive.
Didn't have luck.
Jalen Warren's the new Tony P, man.
Well, speaking of.
Jesus Christ.
He might be a little bit more physical than Jalen.
He's more physical for sure.
Or than Tony P.
Jalen Warren gets tutties.
Yeah. He's a tougher runner. He's actually taking carries away from Najee. But speaking of quarterbacks who were in the crosshairs, Kyler Murray came back. Actually started him in one of my leagues. Didn't matter because I got blown out in that league, but it was nice to see that he was able to come back and look like a decent quarterback for the amount of time he's missed. And there's been a lot of rumors with Arizona with the direction of what they're trying to do. And Kyler coming back, I don't want to say they're on different timelines, but like if I just had to guess, I think the front office is probably wanting to lose because they want higher draft compensation. And I think Kyler's coming back and he's wanting to prove, hey, I can still play. So whether that's with the Cardinals this year or whether that's with another team next year, he's wanting to prove his worth. So I think there's a little bit of a clash in terms of how front office and Kyler's looking at it. So, it makes his future very, very interesting. And I'm going to ask the fellows, when it comes to Kyler Murray, where do you envision it going? Do you see him with the Cardinals? Do you see him with another team? Do you see him being, having these, I think before he got paid, he had those cryptic tweets and all that type of stuff and taking stuff down off of social media. So, Z, what do you see Kyler next year?
Yeah, it's very, very interesting because I thought this year was going to be a full-on tank mode, resting Kyler Murray the entire season. It would be the Joshua Dobbs show. But when Kyler Murray was pretty much a week away coming back, they shipped out Joshua Dobbs immediately. And that guy,
no hesitation.
Yeah, legit, immediately. And the guy has been very productive as a backup quarterback. And this guy goes to the Minnesota Vikings, and all he does is win right now. All he's doing is winning over there in Minnesota and rejuvenating a franchise that just lost their franchise quarterback in Kirk Cousins. So that just shows there's some belief in Kyler. I thought they're going to go full tank, full rebuild, use the draft capital, and pretty much restart the franchise. But I think what they've done getting rid of Joshua Dobbs, which surprised me, is the Kyler Murray show, and it's his team. Yep. It's his franchise. He's came back. He looked, for being off a year, he looked pretty good.
Yeah.
He was running around the pocket. There was a couple of times he should have got sacked for a 10-yard loss, but he's able to maneuver. So you still see that he has that mobility. He made some nice deep pass. Him and Trey McBride got a little connection out there. Shout out to him. He got 10 plus targets, got over 100 yards. So Kyler Murray, we forget this guy when he was healthy put up some elite numbers. Elite numbers. His ability to create time in the pocket for his receivers to get open is a special ability. Obviously he's a shorter dude, so his size is going to limit him in the future, and his ability to get re-injured just based on size, he has a higher injury risk. He just has a higher injury risk. Sure. You just got to live with that risk. They knew that when they drafted him first overall. So you already took him as the first overall pick, and you signed him to a massive contract extension. You ship out the backup quarterback. So I think they're all in on Kyler Murray, which I was shocked to say, but I think they're all in on Kyler Murray and going to try to build around him with the future assets they have. So Kyler Murray, I'm very impressed that first game back.
Yeah, that was
first game, because usually after being gone that long from football, you look a little awful. Kyler Murray, I was like, oh.
Sorry, I had to work it in. I had to work it in,
Needles.
He still looks like himself.
With his legs. It's always his legs, man. I mean, he had that rushing touchdown, 33 yards on 6 carries, quote unquote, for a quarterback. Can't complain there. Willing to put his body on the line. I think the mental ability to put yourself in situations where you could get re-injured after coming off such a massive injury less than a year ago. Zoo and I hate to bring this up, Zoo. We saw Derrick Rose have issues with that. And I'm not trying to just bring that up out of nowhere. But it is an issue when you have a major injury. The mental aspect can really affect the way that you play sports. And for him to come in and do this, I mean, he threw for almost 250. I think, did he throw an interception? He might have thrown one. Didn't throw any touchdown passes, but he was moving the ball. He had over a 50% completion percentage, which for your first game back in an NFL game against a secondary that a lot of people are surprised is to actually top 8 this year in Atlanta. I mean, they're not a joke. Obviously, they've given up some bad games. You could call it play calling, whatever you want to call it. But he had a solid game. They have James Conner coming back, who had, once again, coming off an injury that could have lasted a lot longer than I think a lot of people expected. I personally did not expect him to come off the actual 4-week IR slot. I thought maybe he'd sit out 1 extra week, kind of feeding into the whole tanking thing that Zoo was talking about. But this team, Zoo, you want to know what I'm nervous about for them? Because as a Bears and Panthers pick shareholder, they're poisoning themselves. They're poisoning themselves for that 3rd pick to take Marvin Harrison Jr., man. That's what they're poisoning themselves for. If they end up getting the top pick somehow, I kind of see it right now falling to either the Panthers or the Patriots. That'd be a nice tandem with Marquise Brown and Trey McBride and James Conner, man. That offense would be solid. They could focus the rest. Got to remember, they also own the Texans pick from the Will Anderson trade last year. Obviously, we know the Texans are trending upwards.
A lot better than people have
trending upwards, but that's still probably going to be around a 18 to 20 pick. if I were to guess, based on how the year ended up shaking out. You could take another solid tackle, maybe a defensive edge rusher, which is very deep this year. If you want to not take Marvin Harrison Jr. early on for some dumbass reason, focus on taking an edge there, solidify that defense. This team could end up being poised if Kyler Murray continues to progress over the next 7-8 weeks to being a solid team next year, man. It's really just going to end up how the rest of the bottom of the draft ends up shaking out for who they might end up. But I think they avoid Caleb Williams and Drake May.
But this is the only question I have. I think I side more with you guys. But the only question I have is, no, he got injured. To Zoo's point, the injury history. And, the whole video game crap and him not studying. I wonder how much of that kind of, I don't know who's still in the front office. Maybe there's still guys who are there. I know the head coach left and he's got a new head coach. But I wonder how much of that is dictating what direction they want to go in. Because if they're at the point where, okay, yes, Kyler Murray came back and he did look good. And he's probably going to end up probably being really good towards the end of the year because he's just came out guns a-blazing in the first game back. But I wonder how much of it is going to be, do we want to just, we got a new coach last year, the quarterback draft this year, like you said, the top three, most people would say it's Caleb, Drake, and maybe Michael Penix or J.J. McCarthy, whoever, but they're all guys in the 6'3", 6'4". I think Caleb Williams might be the shortest at like 6'2". But like they're sturdy quarterbacks, big arms. They're all, for the most part, athletic. Do they kind of, because they have a history of this with the guy before in Josh Rosen, where he was the savior, quote unquote, from UCLA. He's the guy. And then Cliff Kingsbury is like, nah, I know Kyler. I know his family. We're going to do whatever it takes to get him. And I don't care we drafted you the year before. Josh Rosen, you're out of here. Now, Kyler's been there, obviously, a little bit longer, and he's established himself as a pretty good quarterback in the league. But I just wonder if that direction is somewhere they just want to go, because I think at the apex, Caleb Williams and possibly Drake May might be better. So I don't know if the growing pains, and that's tough for me to even say, because Kyler athleticism in terms of just buying time and getting out of the pocket and making spectacular plays, I think is top 2 in the league. So that's kind of hard for me to say that I think Caleb Williams, and even though Caleb Williams is spectacular, and Drake May can be better than that, but it's just profiling right now.
I think they got to see how the rest of the season plays out.
But I think they're going to win. I don't think they're going to lose.
And that's what I'm saying. They're going to lose. You already paid him.
Yeah.
All right. I would argue that the Bears.
Would you be willing to trade him?
Yeah, but it's got to be the
just
perfect
where
offer.
to, though. Yeah.
Perfect offer. Where is he going? What are you getting back? Is it right now? Are you trading for a player that can affect your team right now? Is it draft capital?
Well, I think it's past the deadline, so yeah, they can't do anything right now.
Right, they can't do it right now. They'd have to wait till probably the offseason.
I would say Minnesota, but like Dobbs is balling.
He's lit.
So I don't know.
He's a good runner, man.
He's the Charlie Villanueva of the NFL, man. Charlie Villanueva, man, of the NFL, man.
I don't even know, like, if you were to trade him, like, the Giants would probably take him.
Oh, for sure. They take on that contract.
But they might be in the market for just trying to start over and get another quarterback. But, yeah, I don't know what other fits he would be. There's no other – I don't know. This is off the cuff. But
I'll take the Bears.
How long does Matt Stafford have?
Oh, he going to retire soon.
That would be a nice – that would be him and Puka Nacua and Cooper, and then whoever the hell they got at running back, which is committee.
He's not a wide receiver favorite quarterback, though. That's the thing. He never has been.
Cooper won't be breaking records.
We saw Trey McBride have a great game, but that's his pacifier, man. That's the guy that he needs to go to when he's looking, when he's running around like a bobblehead, man, just like running around.
He does actually like a bobblehead right around,
10 yards, Trey McBride makes it into 20, So
that's funny. He kind of does like a bobblehead when he's out there right around.
Yeah.
He does. I don't know. They're probably that's why I agree with you guys. They're probably just going to stick with him, and they're probably he's too good. He's going to win games, and they're probably going to be in that maybe 3-4-2 range or whatever. Probably 3 or 4 range, and they're just going to probably draft an edge or a receiver. But it is interesting to see like what they could do, because Minnesota was my pick months ago, but then Dobbs came in, and it's like I like that. Like Dobbs, I don't know how great he's going to be, but he, it's going to be interesting to see when Jefferson comes back, what he looks like, because that's another team that could be sneaking into the playoffs. We're like, wait, Minnesota's in the playoffs?
They're like right now. Their record is like way better without Justin Jefferson.
They're 5-4. Yeah, that is crazy.
That is the craziest stat. I think they're like over with Justin Jeff.
Yeah.
They didn't win a game, I feel like.
Because remember, people were talking like he may not come back. But
Yeah.
it looks like he is now because now they're looking like they may make
Probably
a run to the playoffs. Because
Yeah.
they're
on a 5-game winning streak.
Yep.
Without
they're
Justin
6-4.
Jefferson.
They're actually in the playoffs. Holy cow, I didn't even know
Yeah,
that.
they are. Yep.
They're 7. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. But yeah, college probably definitely stands. So we were all in unison in that. And right now we are transferring to our week 11 bets of the week.
There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time.
Starting off, I will say third quarter, like 10 minutes left. I was like, it's not happening. I was like, it's not happening. Bet's not happening. Money line pick, down the drain. I actually didn't get rattled with that first pick 6 at the beginning because I just like that was such a fluke play. But then it's like in the third quarter, I was just like, man, this ain't happening. But the moment I got hope was the Lamar tip pass. I think it was Newsom, whoever caught it, ran the end zone. And even when Justin Hopkins missed the extra point, I was like, their defense is so amped up. They're going to get Lamar to stop. They're going to get a stop, and it's going to determine Deshaun getting down there.
Huge. Oh.
And he just went.
Defense makes the difference.
As he whispers, he just went 14 for 14 and got the game-winning field goal set up. So saved me, got the 5-2, got me the 5-2, which was nice. So
Man.
you guys are going to see later. You're going to see later. I'm a little bit more outrageous with my money line picks because the record's good right now. But we'll see. But people, that's tough.
Can you bet? Are you shitting me? I'm sorry. I got to
that's insane.
Brian Robinson Jr. has a monster game like I told y'all he was going to have, man.
He did.
Game, eats against
points.
the Seahawks out of the backfield, man. If you guys are looking to make good bets, running backs that can catch the ball against the Seahawks, man.
Gibson had a good game too.
Gibson even had a great game. He had that nice.
He had a touchdown, right? He had a
touchdown.
touchdown.
Did have a touchdown.
Receiving touchdown.
Brian Robinson, I know he had that 50-yard fluke, but they continued feeding him the ball. Monster game. Huge for me in Dynasty, man. CMC.
Yeah,
they were trying, man. They were trying hard.
They were. That's the crazy part.
The ball 3 times in the last possession when they were blowing out the Jaguars and he couldn't get it in.
That's such bad karma, though.
You want to know what that man? That's just absolutely ridiculous. I picked CMC a couple times in this league, man. He's been the one to actually be the 1 out of 2 legs.
Debo took the touchdown.
Legs.
That's what
Debo took the touchdown. Obviously, Brandon Ayuk scored. George Kittle had that nice touchdown as well on the long drive, man. So, of course, CMC, the guy who's guaranteed to score a touchdown, does not score for me.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. 1-9, fellas. Just absolutely brutal on the touchdown parlays this year. But we're going with 2 guys that are just
live to fight another week.
Blue bloods. Austin Eckler against your Packers Zoo. Jalen Warren, Najee Harris coming off 2 huge scores last week. They're just horrible against the run this year. And obviously we know the game script with the Chargers against Packers, barring a major Justin Herbert poor performance, will end up favoring the running game for the Chargers. So I'm leaning that way with him, probably in that -110 to a potentially +100 range. And then the other one, man, Tyreek Hill coming off the bye week, off a rough game against his former team, Chiefs. But he is fresh and ready against the Raiders, who I know they beat the Jets on Sunday Night Football, man. But let's be honest, the Jets were moving the ball against them. They were moving the ball. They just could not do anything in the red zone or the gold zone. As your boy, what's his name, Zoo? Who's the OC for the Jets? He was the Broncos.
The drinking buddy. Is it the drinking buddy guy?
Yeah, Rodgers drinking buddy. You know what I'm talking about. Whatever.
God.
He calls it the gold zone, though, right? Well,
Nathaniel Hackett.
Nathaniel Hackett. There it is.
Drinking buddy.
Nathaniel Hackett clearly has no idea what he's doing outside of Aaron Rodgers. But I obviously believe in the Dolphins being able to do so against a team like the Raiders, even though the Raiders defense has been above average this year. I think the fantasy they're ranked around 15th. But we know what Tyreek Hill can do. He's open for a big play every time. So I got the Eckler Tyreek Hill parlay for anytime touchdown scores this weekend, man. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, huh? Fingers crossed, man. I do like the Chargers this week. I do got a hint like that. I do like the Chargers this week. But I got to recap last week, man. What did I say about the Green Bay Packers, man? Booty cheeks, man. The Steelers just take care of business. The Steelers
barely.
Pick it.
And then like Jordan Love throws a pick. I'm like, classic. Just classic.
God.
Jordan Love,
Yeah.
man. I'm telling you. Like, I watched enough of Jordan Love, man. I
Yeah,
watched
I'm
enough
too.
of him. He ain't that guy, man.
They might be in the market for a quarterback.
No,
another
they
Tyler.
will be. They
He
will
won't
be.
go there.
Yeah, he
Because I'm
definitely
telling
will
you
go
right now, Jordan Love, the amount of interceptions this guy has, man, he has 10 interceptions and 14 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like he's a turnover machine. He doesn't even got that upside because he can't really throw the deep ball. Even though like the running game was pretty solid for them, but man, the running game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jalen Warren, 101 yards. Najee Harris with a resurgence after a couple of really bad games because he got a lot of carries. It's just not a whole lot of yards. But right now, it's like, oh, he's getting 5 yards.
A couple good games now.
Yeah, he had a couple. He was stringing together a couple of good games. Like Kenny Pickett is still garbage. Like he's just garbage. Like he's awful.
Yeah.
Like he's just awful. Like
Without
14
Jair,
for
don't see
23 for 126 passing yards.
Jair, man.
QBR of a 24.4. That was his QBR. I know the Packers actually have a pretty good defense, but that is just an atrocious offensive performance. Like I'm like guys like George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, like nobody gonna eat as a wide receiver when you got Kenny Pickett throwing balls. When you get open, just got to make the deep ball pass and cashing in. So, oh man, the Pittsburgh Steelers taking care of business against my shitty Green Bay Packers, and I'm gonna bet against them again, man. Chargers only +3, man. +3 against the Green Bay Packers against that. I love the Chargers, even though their record's not good. I watched their offense; they have an incredibly good offense. It's a very efficient offense, good running game, rush in, tag your boy Austin Eckler, but Justin Herbert with Keenan Allen. Like Keenan Allen had a virtuoso performance last week. Like he has been unbelievable. Like Keenan Allen, most of his career, he's just struggled with injuries. He just usually gets battered up. But this year, even though he's the oldest he's ever been, he's been extremely healthy and he's been the number one option. And they need him because Quentin Johnson, he ain't that dude yet. Like
he had a nice game. He had
a nice game.
He scored a touchdown, didn't he?
The amount of opportunities like this guy's gonna get right now, because obviously with Mike Williams out, like Jordan
and Josh Palmer.
Yeah, Josh Palmer, who's the number 2 guy out. Like Gerald Everett, like he just really, and he got the 6'7" guy. Like he just doesn't have that many weapons right now to throw to. So, right now it's just been the Keenan Allen show, and he's been showing a lot this year for a guy in his later years, pretty much probably having the best season of his career so far.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, which is
33.
incredible for a guy at his age who you think will be declining as the wide receiver. He's probably having the best season of his career. So that Herbie to Keenan Allen connection has been incredible. That offense still got. I'm telling you guys, I love Kellen Moore's offense. Like he's very creative on offense. So I love the offensive attack. Like this is a team in the Chargers. They scored more points than the Chiefs by 50 points overall this season.
Yep.
Like
the defense, man.
You're talking about the LA Chargers. The defense got issues though. But when it's Jordan Love, it doesn't matter. Because he can't take advantage of busted coverages.
Facts.
You got to be able to make the deep pass. Like Luke Musgrave, I like him. He's another young tight end. I actually like.
Another one.
But if he was in a different situation, I would feel like he'd be a lot productive because Jordan Love just can't make those deep passes when you get open. So I'm just betting against the Green Bay Packers every single time.
Give me the Chargers.
I see 3 points.
Keep it riding, Zoo. Keep it rolling.
I see 3 points. That's all you need to do. Like, and when the Chargers win, they win by a decent amount. Like they win by 4 or more every time they get a W. And the Packers, this team's just prone to get blown out because the offense is just not there. Like it'll be hard for this team to put up even like 17 points against the Chargers defense.
I got 2 things I wanted to say, which is one I just looked up. I did not know this, but did you know Quentin Johnson got drafted before Jordan Addison?
Yep.
Imagine him with the Chargers. My God, him and Keenan Allen.
Oh,
yikes!
That's a deep threat right there. Ooh.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't have the
even me, Jalen Rieger, Justin Jefferson.
Oh,
not comparing.
That might go down as one of the all-time. Because, like I said, I think Jay Jeff's probably gonna be a Hall of Famer. But
the look on the Vikings front office, man, that's just the funniest thing, man.
Good looks.
It's crazy.
I think this is interesting, and I just from a fantasy perspective, I was wondering this because we keep talking about Jalen Warren. If you only have 1 pick, and it doesn't matter, I'm not talking RB2, RB1, none of that, but like you can only take these 2 guys. Who are you going to draft next year first? Tajay Spears or Jalen Warren?
Jalen Warren.
Jalen.
I have him in Dynasty.
I just saw last week with
Three-year
Tajay how many carries he got. And I was like, that is interesting.
Traded Jordan Love for him, boys. Traded Jordan Love for Jalen Warren on a 3-year contract.
That's a good trade.
Absolutely
Oh,
beautiful.
yeah.
I just wonder what the thing is.
Woo! Going down to 0.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what their draft composition, what they do in the draft. But I don't know. I just saw Tajay's. I like him more too, but I just saw Tajay getting so many carries and like I wonder what they're gonna do with Derek next year because it's like I don't know what his contract situation is, but
he's getting very old.
Tajay, I don't know.
You want to know what it is though? I think I know the Titans love to run the ball and all that, but their offensive line has started to go downhill a little bit. I just think the pace.
Taylor Lewan, ever since he left, man, it's over.
Yeah, Taylor Lewan, Nate Davis to the Bears. I mean, that was a big loss too, and I just think the Steelers always put a huge importance on building their offensive line as an organization, and I think having your org behind that is just crucial. And we've seen how it's benefited him. I mean, he's getting like 8 yards a carry when he's running the ball. I mean, that's pretty damn good, man. Even when you're only getting 10 carries a game, that's just ridiculous.
So this week I wanted to switch it up. I'm only going to pick one of these games as like my true money line pick, but there's 3 of them that I just found interesting. And I guess I'm trying to decide on which one that I want to pick, but it's going to be between these 2. But I'll start off with the Texans and Cardinals money line. It's 4.5. Why is that so low? It's at Houston.
Murray.
And that is what I feel like is one of the 2 factors. I think it's Kyler Murray coming back, him looking decent.
Connor's back too.
The whole listen, I don't care who you are, bro. Love CJ Stroud. Rookie quarterback on the road, last minute drive. Him and that team is probably feeling themselves, bro. And then they're now looking at the Cardinals, who are like Murray, Schmaler Murray, who gives it
0-5 on the road,
2-8. Like CJ Stroud probably will ball, but I just don't know how locked in they'll be. And I do think Kyler Murray, him being more of a veteran quarterback, I don't care who you are. A lot of these quarterbacks look at the young guys that come in. I'm sure Joe Burrow dealt with this. It's like, who the hell is this dude? Like, okay, you're having a good first year. Guess what? They haven't watched any game tape on you, bro. That's how they're thinking. And I think Kyler Murray is going to be motivated. I wouldn't be shocked if they won that game. I think that would be a good, and I think it's anywhere between 160, 170. James Carter, like you said, come back. Marquise Brown is good. Trey McBride's a hell of a tight end. He's a hell of a tight end. Got him and
Laporta on the team, man. I'm trying to trade Laporta right now.
Wish I would have picked him up. He's solid. So that's another one. And AFC North, we've been talking about it. Bengals and Ravens. Gotta have it week for the Bengals. They gotta have it. This is a must win. That one they dropped last week was a heartbreaker. And I mean, some would say, well, you're going to get CJ Stroud. Still, you're at home. You're Joe Burrow. You need to win that one. They're 0-2 in the division. They dropped to 0-3. They're not winning the division. It's over.
No.
And their playoff hopes are slipping. It's not over yet, but their playoff hopes are slipping because
if the Browns and Steelers win this week, for sure, that's 2 games.
Browns. I forgot that's another one. The Browns and Steelers play this weekend. I think that's for first place. I'm pretty sure. I'm not.
If the Ravens lose, I think the winner of that Browns Steelers game would have first place.
Okay.
Because the Ravens have not had their bye yet.
Yeah. Okay. So
they'd be right, Zoo. They'd be 7-4 versus 7-3 potentially, right?
Yeah. So for the Bengals, they got to have that game. It's pretty much, I wouldn't say their season's on the line, but just the trajectory. I just don't know how they're going to be able to even fight for the division. And like you said, in the AFC, it's a whole lot more competitive with, like you said, you got Houston, Buffalo's right behind you. Like, there are teams with competent quarterbacks that could make it life tough for you and you not make the playoffs. So they got to have that game, which,
above average how they
quarterbacks. Facts. And I think that money line is right around like plus 162, 165. It just kind of depends on what site you're looking at. And this was like my super long shot. And after this one, I'll go back to which one I think I'm going to pick between the Texans one and the Bengals one. I said this when the 49ers played the Bengals, and they were like, God, it's like, do the Bengals see blood in the water with the 49ers? Like, do they feel like they can stomp on them after they kind of had now, I think at that point they lost 2 in a row, and the Bengals came in and beat them. They're like, yeah, they saw blood in the water. The odds on this is plus 270. What would the Jets do to the Bills this weekend? Defensively.
The Jets already beat
Wilson, I'm not banging on him. But what if a scenario happens where they run the ball and they play elite defense against Josh Allen?
It's very possible.
Because they already beat him earlier this year, which was a fluke play with the kick return, whatever. But
I'm taking Sauce Gardner over Stephon Diggs. I'll just say that right now.
Well, yeah. I mean, Stephon will probably get like 5 or 6 catches, but
he'll do. But not
Sauce is gonna make life hard for him. Yeah, because we saw what Surtain did. We saw what he did. Surtain put him in a cage.
Studying that.
The only reason why I feel like this is just if you got the bukus of money to just throw away, you can maybe throw something on this game because nobody trusts Zach Wilson. And I know the Bills defense is bad, but I mean, they can maybe muster up enough to maybe contain Breece Hall. But man, if they get in a situation where it's the third or fourth quarter and one team's up by 3, the other team's up by 4 or 5, whatever, it could you could start seeing the pressure mount because now you already fired your offensive coordinator. I don't know who the replacement is, but you fired him. Dayball's feeling a little bit of pressure, even though I feel like his seat is safe. He's not going to get fired this year. But I think there's a lot of pressure going around. Like you said, it doesn't help Trayvon, who is Stephon's brother, tweeting a bunch of madness about how, man, 14 need to get up out of there. Like he's kind of, and that's all him just trying to get him to Dallas. I get it. But like, I think there's a lot of pressure on the Bills because they're also 5-5. And, with the Jets, I know they're hoping for a Christmas miracle with Aaron Rodgers, but I mean, they are who they are. They have a great defense and their offense is not great. So I don't know. Playoffs is probably a long shot, but I don't know. Combination of the Jets getting that game, Josh Allen not looking the best, you're going against one of the better defenses, pass rush. I don't know. That is the one I'm staying away from because I just don't trust the Jets offense. And going back to the Texans one and the Bengals, I'm probably leaning more towards, I kind of want to say the Bengals one because I know they got to have that game. So I feel like Joe Burrow will show up and win that one. So it's a little bit easier money. But I think I'm going to go with the Texans and Cardinals because CJ Stroud has been amazing and he's probably going to go off again. But I think Kyler's going to be so motivated being like, dude, I know you're the new kid on the block, but like, come on, dog. Like, I was the number 1 pick overall. Like, you're playing like the number 1 pick, but I was the number 1 pick. I got Marquise Brown. I got James Conner back. We'll see what happens. So I think I'm going to go with that one in terms of money line picking. Like I said, on that one, it is 160 to 170. So depending on whatever site, Vegas Insiders, FanDuel, whoever, DraftKings, you can pick that one. But wouldn't be surprised if the Bengals totally destroyed the Ravens. Because also, too, I think it pisses Joe Burrow off that Lamar keeps beating him.
Yeah, of course.
And I think Joe Burrow's like, I need this. Joe Burrow's like the type of competitor where I know he gets compared to Mahomes a lot and all that stuff, but I know deep down, all those guys think about their individual records with other players, and he's just like, wait, I haven't beat Lamar ever? Like, huh? Like, no, this needs to end now. So, like, maybe he just goes crazy and nuclear. Who knows? Gonna need Jamar Chase to have a legendary game too, though. But yeah, so those are my picks for that. And those are our overall picks for week 11. Like I said, football season is flying by. Make sure you guys are tuning into that. On Bullheaded_pod, NBA season is in full swing. Like I said, in-season tournament. Outside of the courts, it's kind of cool just to see players are taking it serious. So I think that was Adam Silver's, goal. But we'll see. It's monetary value at the end, so that's probably the reason why they're playing a little hard. But outside of that, there's a lot of players in the league that are going off. A lot of young players that are playing outside of their mind.
Tyrese Maxey, I really like shout out Tyrese Maxey.
Dude, Harden was the best. Real quick, Harden leaving was the best thing for Maxey ever.
Absolutely.
Maxey has turned into the guy who they thought Harden was going to be. And he's the. And this is why. This is for a later pod, but this is why if LaVine goes there, oh my God, I can't wait till we start talking about that. If LaVine goes there, oh my God, I might have to rethink the whole East. I really might have to rethink it, bro. Because God, Maxey, like I said, him and Embiid, and that team as a whole is just
they're playing.
Nick Nurse, like you said,
I'm telling you,
Nick Nurse. You're right.
There's a difference between an elite head coach and Nick Nurse and an average head coach and Doc Rivers. There's a reason why.
All right.
Because they got the same players. They got the same players, basically.
Above average coach. Come on, he's the champion.
I'm tired of him milking that freaking Celtics. I'm sick of it.
I'm sick of it, bro. I'm so sick of that play calling.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was the head coach. Rondo was the head coach.
Yeah, red coach.
But like I said, TikTok, Bullheaded864, YouTube, Quantrell knows. All this NBA, NFL content is going to be flooding your feed. So make sure you tune into that. Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts is where you can listen to us as well. And for me, Zoo, and P. Bush, we are out.